Very good. Welcome everyone to Baltimore, the Whitman Expo. We're excited. Hopefully we won't have too much talk in the background for the guy who owns the place, huh?
You want to tell those guys?
I know, right? I'm here with Jeff. Garrett, Jeff, nice to have you here.
Nice to
have you here.
Yeah.
How often have you done the Baltimore show?
Gosh, I've been going to the Baltimore show for decades. I used to go to the show when it was in Atlanta, Maryland, probably 40 years ago starting. Then it transitioned probably 30 years ago to Baltimore. I've been coming 3 times a year for a long time. Baltimore's kind of like a second home in some ways.
Okay, so you're an East Coast guy.
Yeah, I live in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay. That doesn't. So from someone who's out west, Lexington, Kentucky doesn't sound like the East Coast, but
yeah, it's sort of this. It's this side of the Rockies.
Yeah, right. Well, that's okay. I think John still thinks I live in New Mexico and not Arizona, but that's okay.
That's right.
It's all good. So tell me about your numismatic journey. When did you start collecting coins? And
I started collecting coins when I was a kid, like so many millions of other Americans. In the 1960s, someone gave me, ironically, a Whitman folder. So my numismatic journey started with this company essentially, and someone gave me an album for Lincoln pennies, 1941 to date. That time was in the 1960s, and I started going through my pocket change trying to fill it up, and then I became, it fit very well with my compulsive behavior, and I started filling the album up and just loved doing it, and then eventually got the first album and then got obsessed by it, and it just became kind of like I guess some kids now are obsessed with video games. I was obsessed with coin collecting.
So you started with Lincoln Cents.
Lincoln Cents,
in the 60s?
Yeah, probably about 1968. I was 10 years old then, so that's about when it was. Yeah.
Do you still have coins that you had from your childhood?
I do. Yeah, I do.
You? That's awesome.
I actually have a safety deposit box. I probably haven't been there in 5 years or more, but last time I was there, I actually have these folders, and it says "From Pop Childhood Collection," like on the outside of it. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, maybe it'll matter to somebody someday.
Well, the thing to do with those is, I didn't start. I started collecting in the 80s, but really started dealing in the late 90s, and so I've seen a pretty dramatic change, even just in the last 5 or 6 years, with both collecting and dealing, and so I do tell people the same thing, that the transparency level is really good.
Great.
It makes it a lot easier. It makes it harder for someone to really get hosed, shall we say. You really have a lot of access to information between.
Yeah, it's your responsibility as a consumer to. It'd be like buying a used car. You got to do a little bit of homework to not get taken advantage of. Got to do something.
Right. So tell me about your book writing journey. What type of stuff have you written over the years?
I kind of got. I never really had written at all in my career. Probably for the first 25 years of my career or more, and then I was at a cocktail party, and people would ask, like, what's the most expensive coin? And I would say, well, $1 million or $7 million, whatever it was. And then they were like, oh, why is it worth that much? And I realized it was the stories attached to them. And then sometime, I'm not sure how I did it, but I pitched the idea to Whitman about the 100 greatest U.S. coins.
Yeah.
So that'd be fascinating, a neat idea. And so that was my first book, The 100 Greatest U.S. Coins. And I did a lot of research on it, and came out. It won Book of the Year. Everyone liked it, inspired lots of coin collectors to want to love the stories. And I actually just kind of discovered that I had a niche for writing, that kind of, doing those kind of things. And then I just started. Then I did other books after that. Encyclopedia Gold I did, which was a big giant project. Took a few years, and I really like it because when you really dive into something, you learn a lot yourself. So I found it very educational and way worth the time to do it. Even though I don't get a lot of money on the books. You get a lot of benefits from having learned about the coins, and also letting other people know that you're an expert in those series. So it helps with that. And then also I've been for at least 15 or 20 years helping with Redbook. I was kind of like an apprentice for Ken Brissett for 10 or 15 years, and now he's 96 this year, so he's finally retired. So I've taken over that role. 96. What do we got here? Are we still? You think we're still rolling, or is things just buffering away?
We're still rolling.
Awesome.
I would like you to ask some questions so they can hear.
Okay.
If you remember.
No, we'll keep rolling.
Yeah.
It's all good. Technology is whatever it is. I can never count on it 100% of the time. What I will ask you, so on your 100 Greatest U.S. Coins, which is a book that I think most viewers that I have would probably be familiar with, have you ever thought about redoing that? Changing it up at all?
Well, the 100 Greatest U.S. Coins, we just finished the 6th edition, so it's been through a lot of iterations and changes. There's going to be more changes. John Begemam, who now owns Whitman, has and his team have made some visual changes to it. It's going to be a lot different. It's going to look different. Some people have talked about maybe at some point do like the 100 greatest most affordable coins, some ideas like that. So we thought about, that may be in the works at some point. But the 100 greatest book is kind of, we take a few coins out, add a few coins, rethink things. There's some subtle things in there because in the last 5 years, there's been a few coins that are bringing $4 or $5 million that weren't listed in the book. So we're like, okay, we got to start covering those, So, because they were locked up coin collections and they never sold, and they've sold in the last few years. So things like that make it fun to, put it this way, if you own a 5th edition, you'll want to buy the 6th edition because it's different.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So are you when you look at the rare coin market, so coins that are, think the price of a really expensive car to a house kind of price, right?
Right.
Is there something in there that you just find to be like your favorite type of coin that's in that area?
Yeah, I tell people if probably one of my favorite coins of all time is the 1907 High Relief Double Eagle. It was made by the greatest artist of the time, Augustus St. Gaudens. He was a genius. His artwork's all over Central Park, all over America, different places. He designed a coin at the behest of Teddy Roosevelt. The coin is a masterpiece of art, and they made 10,000 of them or more. So the coin's available. It's just expensive. They start at $10,000 and go to 100,000. But it's a coin. If you're going to own one coin that you wanted to put a real investment in, that would be the coin I would buy because it's just such a great coin. Just beautiful.
Yeah. No, that's a cool response. I wasn't sure what you would say, but I like the fact that although it's really rare and expensive, it's not like a lot of guys just go to the $1 million coins right away.
Right.
And so I always find it interesting when I find someone who's collected for a long time.
Yeah.
And they tend to really be drawn towards beauty and story.
Right.
More than anything
Well,
else.
that coin has a great story. Being involved with Teddy Roosevelt is great, and it's kind of got a good combination. It's also accessible because, a lot of $1 million coins are, 1, 2, and they only come up every 25 years. So, you'll be frustrated by trying to buy those coins. But a high relief, there's probably 20 of them on the Bourse floor, so or more. So
it's that combination.
It's available.
Demand, rarity, and demand.
Right. It'll always be in demand because people always want to have a high relief. It's just a great coin. And if you want to do the poor man's version of the coin, in 2009, the U.S. Mint actually reproduced the design in a reduced size, and you can buy those for not too much over melt value. So that's kind of fun.
What do you think of a lot of the modern mint reproduction stuff that they've been doing lately?
That's a really, really interesting question because it would be like if you went back in 1907 and Teddy Roosevelt said, instead of hiring the greatest artist in the country to design our coin, let's just reproduce the 1793 large cent. It's like, to me, it's kind of like dipping into what's already been done, and it's a shame we can't have our coins, somebody brilliant to redesign
term for that
something.
is, what we call a punt.
Right?
Punt,
yeah.
Punt.
So that's sort of.
I feel the same
like the old
way.
designs, but it's a shame we're not creating new great designs.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I would love to see something new that we can all be proud of.
Yeah, and the Mint's done some coin to those. There are some that are really beautiful I've liked, and the one with the bucking bronco, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
I like
got a great design to it.
Yeah, that's a neat thing, and I wish they would just lean more on that. I don't really like I like the coins, but to me it's just like I like the originals. But the 2023 Morgan and Peace dollars, they're cool, but you put them side by side with the originals and they don't hold a light. I don't think so.
What about the circulating coinage? I mean, I would love to see an overhaul of all of that. I mean, but
that's a really good, interesting question too, because this morning I was buying something and I go up and they say, no, only take credit cards. I'm like, it's fast becoming obsolete. So you can't spend money anymore.
You'd have to start collecting old credit cards
I thought the exact same thing, and it's interesting. I do a lot of work with the Smithsonian, and they have on the exhibit on the wall. They've got the earliest credit cards in America. It started with Diners Club.
Yep.
And they're kind of like they're an artifact in their own. So and now these days, if you're I'll give you a collecting tip. Don't cut up your old credit cards. Put them in your collection.
That's right. That's a great
It's going to be
tip.
another form of money.
That's right. Unbelievable. Yeah, the
Yeah.
world's always changing.
Yeah.
But the one thing that's consistent is between history, stories, beauty, and artwork, and collectors, you have a really great hobby.
Yeah. It's a great. And what I really like about coin collecting, it is such a democratic hobby. You can collect coins for $10 a month budget, or $100,000 a month budget,
Agreed.
and enjoy it at any level and any budget, and you get almost the same amount of enjoyment. So it's really great. Because there's a lot of hobbies that, if you collected art, what's this, entry level on that? It's not cheap. You can't buy great art for $10.
It's not the same thing.
Unless it has dogs playing poker on it. So.
That's right. That's right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks
It
for
was
having me.
fun.
Maybe in the fall we'll get to talk more about the Smithsonian.
Yeah, I'd love to talk
That'll
about that
be
more.
that'll
That's
be
one of my
something-
true
I
passions.
have really a lot of questions about that. We'll get to that next time.
Love to help it.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Do
was
you know how
fun.
to turn that thing off? You just hit the X button and hit end.
I'm good. Thanks.
All right, thanks
what
so
is this
much.
all about?
Oh, questions for humans.